that how you feel? Like, I like you ladies, but when are you going to get to the story?
We should just change our podcast to 2 ladies and a dog.
Yeah.
2 ladies and a flatulent dog.
That's what Kelly, Hannah, and I had somebody else mention that they were listening to us. I was like, you listen? Oh my God, that's so great. And they're like, when you guys, the dog farting or snoring or the heavy breathing with the dogs cracks me up. I'm like, oh, I'm glad the dogs.
Shorty's our co-host, our unwitting co-host.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Look at her.
Anyways, let's begin. I'm Alma.
I'm Carlene.
And we are Tipsy Tales.
We should have said that together, huh?
Right? Yeah. We are.
Tipsy Tales. I'm like looking around. What? You want me to share with you?
Oh my gosh.
Tipsy Tales.
We got a lot of rain this week. My backyard was flooded.
It's going to rain on Wednesday, they say.
Is it again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're actually getting our winter weather, which is always
winter
in January.
Decided to show up.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be ending.
Yeah.
Going into February.
And then today was warm.
Yeah.
It was pretty warm outside.
Yeah.
Well, the other day was like freezing cold.
My house was freezing.
Oops, sorry. That was not an EBP.
I've been doing my research, though. Put my TV above my fireplace. And I have a space heater. I'm just like, fireplace going, space heater. Oh, it's so with your cozy so little nice. Socks. Yeah, and I can look outside and see the rain.
I didn't have any cozy this weekend though, because I had my grandbaby all weekend because my daughter and her boyfriend went out of town. So that was fun though.
Fun for them.
Yeah. She did the whole duo phone call, and she's showing me around the cabin. It was up in Overgard. It was really nice. It was like the whole farmhouse style. It was really nice. And then she showed me this big picture window where you could see outside and you could see all the snow.
Oh my gosh, how nice.
Of course, I was a nervous wreck until they got there.
Oh, I would have been freaking out too.
Yeah, I was like, you text me the minute you get there.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, I'm a grown-ass woman, Mom, but you're always my baby.
Oh my God, the last episode, I was so fucked up. I'm sorry, guys.
It's called Tipsy Tales. We're supposed to. Like, when people ask what we're like, I'm like, sometimes it's like Drunk History, that show Drunk History. People like that. That's what we're about. Especially with the topics that we do.
And you know me, I don't like drinking on some of those topics. So that was one of them. I was like, oh my God, I'm just like, I couldn't even finish. I had you finish reading mine. Like it was
towards the end.
I listened back and I was like, oh my God.
I mean, you can't say it's inappropriate because that's the name of our show.
I know, but at the same time.
And it was hilarious.
Weirdly, we got a lot of listens for that one.
See there?
Yeah, so.
People like it wasted.
Either that or they like the whole...
They like the subject.
Which that is story.
Weird, but...
So what we're going to try and do a few more of those where we just collaborate on...
Yeah, and that are like more recent.
Current stuff, yeah. We do like to delve into the ancient history a lot.
Yeah.
Which is, whatever.
It's good to mix it up.
Yeah.
But it's also good to remember the ones so people don't get so comfortable and forget, like that woman and her children. The Watts family, that needs a reminder.
Yeah, that one was sad. That was really sad. All right, so we were talking about The Night Stalker. That's on Netflix. I freaking binged through the whole thing.
That is so much more your gig than I used to get into it, like Dateline and stuff. But once my kids start getting older and out, I don't even want to put that out there, so I won't watch it.
You know what? For a long time, I couldn't. That's the really weird thing is, like, not that long after I started the podcast, then Serena moved out. And then it just, like, got too much for me. Like, I was like, I'm
too afraid I'm going to put it out there.
Right.
Like, worrying about it, and then I'm going to put it out there and manifest it.
Yeah. That one, I don't want to give away too much, but they did talk about...
Well, tell them who it's about, because maybe people don't know that they called him the Night Stalker.
Yeah, Richard Ramirez. So, in the very first... Tipsy Tales episode that we ever recorded, Yvette and I did Richard Ramirez, The Night Stalker. So that's out there. But if you guys are into this, you should go.
It is a twisted
check it out. It's very twisted. And you know what the most twisted thing was for me is that he had groupies.
Well, so did Charles Manson.
Oh yeah, Manson.
It's weird.
All of those, like the real high profile.
And they get like a cult following.
Yeah. 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 I was just like, oh, these. And there's this one chick in there. She wasn't I don't think she was an actual victim, but there was like something that happened in passing with her, but her commentary on these girls, she's like, I just think they're the dumbest bitches alive.
Oh my God.
I was laughing. I was like, yeah.
There was I saw at the very beginning, and they were interviewing, back then, interviewing people while it was happening, and this woman's like, I don't know how they can't find him. He's obviously weird looking. He's strange. I'm like, yeah, because the killer next door can't be.
Right.
They have to be weird looking.
Right.
They walk around with killer on their forehead.
Ted Bundy wasn't weird looking. He was like your guy next door.
It's interesting how the perception of one is that it could be your neighbor. You just don't know.
Also, Ghost Adventures. Anybody that listens to Ghost or watches Ghost Adventures, they did the Cecil Hotel, which I haven't watched yet because
which
I'm
also
looking for
is
it.
a connection with Ramirez.
Right. He actually stayed, and we talked about that.
Yeah, we did a story.
The Cecil Hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it has several murders that stayed there.
And I think I saw it, there was something that they did on the actual girl that disappeared.
Oh.
The one in the elevator.
And, what's her name? I know. No, what is her name?
I can't think of it right now.
Anyway, I can't either, but yeah, the one in the elevator that
mysteriously
she just disappears and then ends up in the Yeah, so they actually I wish we could watch it.
Yeah.
If you're able to get it, call me over so I can come watch it with you.
And then, so that brings me to the story that we're doing, which this was kind of your idea.
Yeah, because it's Black History Month.
Right.
And we want to honor that in some way, especially in today's times where there's a lot of
all the shit that's going on,
disrespect happening, and I think we can honor by shedding a little. This what you're doing your story on. Mm-hmm. I mean, this shit's still happening.
Right, it's timely. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I ran into in here. Like, there was like a Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, exactly. Flapping my wings. Click, click, clickers. Click, click, clickers.
KK.
When Serena answers me in text, she always says KK.
KK? Oh.
KK. So anyways, there was this Klan meeting, and like verbatim, this guy's speech sounds like some shit that could have like been read today by somebody like...
By our previous...
No, because I think he more skirted it. I think some of the...
So by an actual KKK member?
KK, or the other little offshoot groups that are happening right now, like Proud Boys and...
Right.
The other ones.
What I'm doing mine on, I mean, I could see this all happening again, because we obviously are not learning from history.
Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
And I don't know who said that, but
somebody said that.
Oh, Alma. Said by Alma.
It wasn't me.
I know.
It wasn't me.
But you're right.
All right, so the story that I'm doing is...
We're drinking.
Oh, well, I started out with coffee with Kahlua in it. We're just like very, very eclectic in our drinking habits these days.
I had a coffee plain at home before I came.
Yeah, because by the time Carlene gets to her story, I have this bad habit of yawning. So I've been trying to like...
She's literally dozing off, and I'm like trying to get through it.
Yes, I'm trying to stimulate myself, and
ooh, don't
not
say
in a weird way.
She's trying to stimulate herself. Another time.
It's a very small room, sorry. And we're also drinking.
Basically a 7 and 7, but a whiskey and Sprite.
Right.
Do you have Pepsi or Sprite?
I'm kind of double-fisted here. No, this is Sprite. I put some Sprite in there.
Oh, it's so
a little
yummy.
heavy-handed. Uh-oh, it started.
Oh, get ready, folks. Good thing you're going first.
I am going first. All right.
And go.
My story is on the Mississippi burning case.
By the way, I didn't rewatch it, but I remember when it first came out, I actually read the book. There was a book, I believe, and then the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I watched it read it back in the 80s. I think I there was a book, and I believe I read it. Anyway, I could be making shit up.
Or was it Ghosts of Mississippi? Maybe? Because that's another...
It was, I think it was based on the movie. I want to make sure, but I remember, because then I remember the movie coming out.
Because Ghosts of Mississippi was about Medgar Evers, which was another civil rights murder, assassination that happened in Mississippi.
I'm going to just double check my work, but I just remember because at that time I had also read like Bridges, Madison County, and like several books that I would read. Then all of a sudden they'd come out in a movie. Mm-hmm. But that one...
I think that one was a book.
I think Oprah, believe it or not, it was like she interviewed people and did something on it, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I want to read it." And I ended up reading it, and then the movie came out. So I'm going to just double check my work, though.
All right. So the name of this case given to it by the FBI was MIBURN, MIBURN, which was Mississippi Burning.
Oh.
So that's
interesting.
That's where that came from, and very aptly named, you'll find out. So we're going to time travel a bit back to the 1960s, right in the middle of the civil rights unrest of that time. So we're going to the Deep South, Philadelphia, Mississippi. It's 1964, and what is known as the Freedom Summer or the Mississippi Summer Project, which was a voter registration drive aimed at increasing the number of registered black voters in Mississippi. It is the height of the civil rights era. There were approximately 700 mostly white volunteers working together with the black community in Mississippi in the fight against voter intimidation, which was rampant in the South. So if you find any correlations to the shit that's happening right now, I mean, I don't know about the voter intimidation part, but the whole voter suppression is still an ongoing issue that we're dealing with.
Actually, when I was sitting on the board of Community Legal Services, there was actually, I remember being in Philadelphia. Anyway, they were actually working with people because they were trying to make it more difficult for the black neighborhoods to vote.
In Mississippi?
In just the higher black communities in general.
Right.
And so it was like in the poor areas where African Americans were. Right. And so they were like just starting to put on a bunch of new rules like they did in the 50s and 60s, where they were like adding all these rules to make it more difficult for them to vote. And so what Community Legal Services did even here was try to provide, I believe even here, but they were providing transportation. They were trying to help them get all the documents that they needed so that it didn't work, but still worked for some.
Right.
There was a book. There was Burning, and then Not Just Burning and Mississippi Burning, which I know I read Mississippi Burning because it's the same as the movie. So anyway, that's it. Okay.
Where was I? Okay, so Mississippi was its own animal when it came to voter suppression. Martin Luther King famously said of Mississippi, there is a complete reign of terror here. And he's talking about the KKK. Mm-hmm. The movement was organized by civil rights organizations like the Congress on Racial Equality, known by its acronym CORE, C-O-R-E. And I was kind of like reading, because if you go on the FBI website, you can see a lot of like the paperwork and whatever. And that name CORE comes up over and over again.
That's interesting.
And the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, run by the local Council of Federated Organizations, COFO. So there was just all these organizations like trying to help the civil rights movement along. The counterpart to the civil rights movement and the Mississippi Summer Project was, of course, the Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux Klan membership in Mississippi was soaring in 1964, with membership reaching more than 10,000. Crazy, right?
It's insane. Can I just say, sidebar for a second, even now, people that are hardcore prejudice claim to be good church-going, God-loving people. And then they're like, God doesn't make mistakes. I go to church, God-loving person that I am. The Bible says, if you cut me open and butterfly me, and then take an Asian person, take a black person, butterfly us all.
This is a great visual imagery for me.
Yeah. And then we'll get some Chinese food.
Okay.
We all look exactly the same. We all have the same color of blood. We all have the same muscle, bones, everything's the same. The only difference is the color of our skin. If you're going to judge a human being by the color of their skin,
by the melanin content.
Yeah, instead of
it's a
who they are, then you're the problem. You have the problem.
We're the ones that have made up all these stupid rules. Like, it's just so stupid.
You know, the same person that's driving around with the "What would Jesus do" sticker, but is also secretly a KKK member.
Fuck you, by the way.
Yeah, but you can't say what would Jesus did not judge people by the color of their skin, people. He loved everybody.
Jesus is face palming when he sees your fucking bumper sticker.
Yeah, like, please take that sticker off your car. You're shaming me. Anyway, I just had to say that. It's really annoying to me that people love to hide behind
religion.
God. Mm-hmm.
And well, the Knights of whatever, they're supposed to be a Christian organization.
Oh, it's church-related organization.
They love burning their fucking cross. Like, I wonder what God thinks of that. What would Jesus say?
What would he say? He'd say, "Shame on you."
Shame on you. He wouldn't say what I would say. Because I'd say, "Shame on you, motherfuckers."
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Some of you might be real motherfuckers.
We're not saints, so we don't have to censor ourselves.
All right. Okay. Okay. Where were we? Okay. We were talking about 10,000. The Klan was prepared to use violence to fight the civil rights movement. I say that violence.
You said that very passionately.
Yeah. On April 24th, the group offered a demonstration of its power, staging 61 simultaneous cross burnings throughout the state.
Oh my gosh.
During the summer of 1964, the Klan burned 20 black Mississippi churches.
Oh, good. God-loving people.
I mean,
and tell me, what is the point in burning crosses and churches when you're then saying, like, sitting in your Southern Baptist church or your good Roman Catholic church or your whatever.
Where you're condemning people, telling them, you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
You're going to hell.
Yeah, well, that's called projection.
Don't get me started. Anyways, so that brings us to the burning of Mount Zion Baptist Church that was burned down on June 16th of 1964. Mm-hmm. The reason this church was targeted was because the KKK was tipped off that Michael Schwerner, he was going to be there, but he ended up not being there. That didn't matter. They torched the place anyway and beat the parishioners. Now, Michael was one of the 3 core Congress of Racial Equality field workers that drove down to Philadelphia, Mississippi to investigate the burning. The church had been a site of a core freedom school, and like, they were registering people. They were having registration drives. You think about, like, the church back then, any church in any community, not just in the black community. Like, so many things happened in the church because that's where everybody congregated. You know, it's not like you can do a lot of stuff through the internet now, but this is back where everybody got together all at once.
It's a community.
Yeah, exactly. Deputy Cecil Price had been accused by parishioners of stopping their caravan and forcing the deacons to kneel in the headlights of their own cars while they were beaten with rifle butts. Nope. Michael was joined by James Chaney, a Meridian native, and Andrew Goodman of New York City. Both Michael and Andrew are both Jewish.
No.
Let's see. And that's a whole nother conversation to be had by the KKK because they have something to say about Jewish people as well. Anybody that's just not them, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to say I won't censor myself when it comes to standing up for this kind of stuff.
No, because it's a moral thing. It's not political to me. It's moral.
It is a moral thing. And you are either this or you're that. And there is no black and white. Black and white, no pun intended.
Yeah. Either you're hateful or you're not hateful. Either you have hate in your heart for your fellow human being.
Right.
For something that they can't even control and shouldn't have to. The color of their own skin.
Not to mention, white man brought
them here.
Right. And they're going to be penalized. No. This is ridiculous. And I will... There's no censoring me for that. I will get on any soapbox and stand for it. It's ridiculous bullshit.
So, on their drive into Philadelphia, all 3 were pulled over and arrested by Cecil Price, allegedly for speeding at 5 p.m. Chaney was driving. They were held until 10:30 p.m., pretty much against their will because it was speeding. Like, they should have just paid the fine and been on their merry way. But that wasn't what this is all about. And talking about, I think it was Michael Schwerner. He was already on the KKK's radar because he had been so active in trying to, like, you know, do the whole voter registration. He was involved in all this core project and setting up this, I think in like Meridian. Like, so they already had, that's why they burnt down that church.
I mean, that one person, just one person.
Right.
How brave, because you know you're putting your life in jeopardy.
Right.
Even now, for somebody to do something like that in a certain area of the States, they know they're putting their life in jeopardy. These young kids, I've watched these young kids when voting was, and they're out there and they are risking their lives.
Right.
In their communities
right.
by standing up for something that they believe in. But they also are changing things. So, but to them it is worth it, and
it is worth it.
I applaud them. Yeah.
It is worth it.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Especially since
things aren't going to change unless you stand up for what you believe in.
Like this shit, like people are like, oh, you know, we're in a new era. There's no racism anymore. Like that's
what?
Bullshit. Yeah, like I've heard people say that. Like,
well, I don't know what rock they're living under.
If you keep talking about it, it's never going to go away. All right. That's the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard. Okay, it's the same thing like in your family. Yeah. If you don't talk about your fucking molesting uncle, right, that shit's gonna go away. No, he's gonna keep molesting everybody.
Right. Oh, so these people live under the rock of denial.
Right. Exactly. I'm gonna step down off my soapbox and get back into the story.
And go on all night.
I might as well just stay up here. Hold on. Because it's gonna be that kind of a night.
It is.
But like I said, it's not political. It's moral. Like, if you think this is political, then you really have to evaluate your thinking. Like, why do you think this is political? Like, human rights, civil rights. Why do you think civil rights is a political thing? It shouldn't be political. It's
a human thing. It is about, right from wrong. Treating a human being with dignity.
Right.
You know? And what are we supposed to stand for? Equal rights for all? Not equal rights just if you have this color of skin, this color of hair, if you have
a
blue
dick.
eyes. Yeah. You have a penis and you're 5'6", 5'7". You know, that's not it. It's equal rights for all.
Exactly.
One nation under God. Oh, okay. You didn't want me to sing.
Are we having a Tipsy Tales musical? Because I'm all about it.
Do it.
One of these days, we're just going to have a musical episode.
You know what I just reminded myself of? Is, do you ever watch Will and Grace?
Oh, yeah.
When she does her singing, she thinks she sings really good. And she'll be like, hi-ho. Oh my God, it's hilarious. All right, and go.
All right, where were we? Okay, I was talking about they were in jail. They actually, oops, sorry.
Wow.
Okay, that was me.
Almost breaking things now.
I'm like bumping into stuff already. Like, let me hold on to my
It's too early for Eva to show up.
Way too early. She usually doesn't come until the episode.
This thing is, my ear is awfully tickly.
That's so weird. And I'll tell you why after.
Huh.
Where was I? They were held until 10:30 p.m. They requested to make a phone call and were not allowed to. Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner were released and drove off in the direction of Meridian in a blue station wagon, which was actually known to authorities as a core vehicle. During the time they were being held captive, the KKK, I say captive because they were being held captive, the KKK had been tipped off and were gathering, and once they left the station, they followed them. So, like, somebody was, like, I think it was Deputy Price had actually booked them, left, and he was like out there like gathering people, and then came back, had them pay their fine, and said, all right, get the fuck out of Philadelphia and keep on driving. So they go to leave. I actually watched some documentaries where they like replayed this whole thing. And of course I did watch Mississippi Burning again too, which is like a fictionalized version of the whole thing, but it gets the core of it. And honestly, if I had never watched that movie, I would never have known. So people might have their gripes with the historical context of it, but I think it put it out there for a lot of people like, whoa, this shit was happening.
Unfortunately, there's people that will watch a movie, though, and be like, it's just a movie. Like, that's not really... There's people that have their blinders on so thick that they don't want to believe that that's actually happening.
This is one of those movies, like, and I think I've talked about this before, like, I can't watch movies over. But this is one of those movies that I can. Like, it's like on the list of things that I can watch over and have that same, it generates that same feeling every
Doesn't
time I
it
watch
make you just like, what can I do to help change this?
Right.
Like, those things always make me want to be like, what can I do? I want to help. I want to stop this shit.
Right.
Okay, can I, little disclaimer, as we always say, the heavy breathing is the dog.
Yes.
I know she snores too, but she is right next to me, and it's not me. It's not me.
Sure, Carlene, sure. Yeah.
She's like in a very comfy sleep right now. Slumber. I understand. I was going to fork it out this morning and watch the movie.
I think I got it on Voodoo.
Yeah.
It was like
it's
$3.
on Fandango too.
Fandango, yeah.
And
it's $3.
I should have
$3 is $3. Like, we were just talking about the whole Cecil Hotel thing. It's like, it's on Discovery Plus. I'm like, I already pay for fucking Discovery. Like, why do I have to, like, shell out for all these pluses out there?
Hey, you know what my favorite thing is? Like, I don't pay for cable anymore. I cut that cord a long time ago. But I get, like, Netflix and Hulu and, I don't know, some other stuff. But when they're like, if you want to watch Discovery, but you still have to have a provider. Well, if I had a provider, I wouldn't need to log on to Discovery. Right. Because it would be with my provider.
I did watch when I was looking for it. I was telling you about the Comedy Store, and we have to do that one. It was...
Oh, that one is trippy.
It was good. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
I actually had it on my list and totally forgot about it.
Yeah. You're going to do that one.
Yeah, and then there's also the Viper Room. Yeah, that one too.
In Meridian, core staff began calling nearby jails and police stations inquiring about the 3 men. The standard procedure when organizers failed to return on time. Minnie Herring, the jailer's wife, claimed there was no phone call on June 21st, but core records show a call to the Philadelphia jail around 5:30. So they fucking liars.
Manny. Is her name Minnie?
Minnie.
Minnie Herring. My name's Miss Minnie. Miss Minnie Herring.
The next morning, June 22nd, when they never checked in, as they had been trained, the DOJ was notified and the FBI was brought in. Attorney General Robert Kennedy asked them personally to leave. Who is that? The 60s were like a pretty like turbulent 10 years.
There was definitely a shift happening.
Yeah. Universal, like,
yeah.
There was so much stuff going on, so many assassinations, like the whole civil rights movement, like everything. Like, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. And it was before I was born. She's like, no, you didn't.
Mum's the word. What? Yeah, me too.
Barely. I just missed it by a couple of years. Let's see.
Yeah, me too.
That day, the FBI was sent into Philadelphia and began interviewing and investigating the disappearance. By late afternoon on June 23rd, the vehicle was found by members of the Choctaw tribe. I somehow left out the word vehicle. Was found by the members of the Choctaw tribe on their land, and investigators identified the core station wagon, still smoldering from an attempt to destroy evidence. Now the focus shifted from rescue to recovery of the men's bodies, because at this point they're like, okay, they're dead.
Yeah.
Now the press was involved, and the case was becoming a national scandal, in no small part because both Schwerner and Goodman were white Northerners, so you can't leave that out of the fact. Like, if it was just 3 black civil rights workers, they probably, it wouldn't, and I'll tell you why, it would have gone under the radar. Schwerner's wife actually says to reporters, the slaying of a Negro in Mississippi is not news. It is only because my husband and Andrew Goodman were white that the national alarm has been sounded, which was the truth. The search went on through July while investigators searched the woods, fields, swamps, rivers, Like, they looked everywhere in Mississippi, Mississippi,
Yep.
where they also found, and before I watched Mississippi Burning, that's the only thing I knew about Mississippi was how to spell it.
I remember when I was a kid learning how to spell it.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fun one to learn.
Yeah.
M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-I.
Okay, so what I was talking about earlier, in their search through the swamps and everything, they also found the bodies of 8 African American men. 2 were identified, so not the ones that they're searching for. 2 were identified as Henry D. and Charles Moore, college students who had been kidnapped, beaten, and murdered in May 1964, so just like a month before. Another corpse, so they disappeared without a word.
Nobody bothered looking for them. And their families were probably like
scratching their heads,
going
like,
crazy.
hello?
Yeah, like, somebody please look for our kid. We know they're dead. We know they've been taken.
Okay. Another corpse was wearing a Corps t-shirt. Even less information was recorded about the 5 other bodies that were discovered. So it just tells you, like, how rampant, like, the murder and, like, the terrorism that was going on in Mississippi. And that's what it was. It was terrorism by the KKK.
Well, they just looked at them as animals.
Yeah.
And hunted them like that.
Exactly.
And they had no value. It's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
But I can't even say it's not past tense. This shit is not over.
No, there was like
a
bunch of hangings that just happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we may not hear about it, but it's still happening.
No, we actually did hear about them. Like, they were, but they
don't
kind of flew under the radar of all the other political shit that was going on. There was just so much going on a daily basis. Can I just tell you that I'm just like, with the lack of news. Like, I know there's news, but it's just not this heightened.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not. And I'm glad. I'm glad.
That's nice.
It wasn't until a tip from an informant that was for many years known as Mr. X for his safety, but we know him now to be Highway Patrol Officer Maynard King, and that was just in the past few years. Officers were sent to an earthen dam on the Old Jolly Farm. Old Jolly?
Where do you live? Old Jolly Farm.
Sounds so it sounds like a nice place to be, but apparently it wasn't. Outside of Philadelphia, and that is where the FBI uncovered the bodies of Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman on August 4th.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever looked up to see where there's KKK members?
No.
I forget. I was researching for one of our stories, and I would have never thought that there were so many even here. And there
Gilbert.
are a lot. Really?
I heard that a few years ago, that Gilbert was a big KKK spot.
Well, there's a lot.
I don't know if it's the same, but yeah.
I felt like, there.
I did hear that the recruitment has gone up in the last
few
years. Yeah, and I wonder why.
Yeah, but it is insane. They've even opened up new chapters more on this west side,
right? Like
Arizona, California, Colorado, New Mexico.
It's crazy.
It is, because I just didn't even think about it.
It's shameful. It's embarrassing.
It is.
It's embarrassing. Here we are. It's like 2021. This was 1964.
What's really sad is to hear about somebody who's been in war, fought in the war, came here, survived that fight, comes here, and then ends up being killed on their own U.S. soil because they're black. Ends up being killed. Disgusting. Okay, sorry. I just since we're talking about it.
We might need to drink some more.
I might need to get more wasted.
Yeah. So their bodies were uncovered on August 4th. Because murder was a crime covered by state jurisdiction, the federal government could not bring charges, and the state of Mississippi refused, saying that they did not have enough evidence, which was bullshit. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my.
You had the bodies and everything. They've convicted people on less.
They've convicted people without bodies.
Exactly.
Now you have bodies.
A freaking smoldering car.
Stupid.
Witnesses. So instead, on December 4th, the Justice Department charged 18 men with conspiring to violate Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman's civil rights. So they couldn't, being the federal government, they couldn't charge them with murder because it was on the state level. Anyways, In February of 1967 and in October, they were tried in Judge Cox's courtroom. Now, Judge Cox is a fucking prejudiced son of a bitch. He was known as a segregationist, and he had been the subject of an unsuccessful impeachment attempt after describing African-American witnesses in an earlier case as chimpanzees. Yeah. But on the first day of the trial, when the defense attorney asked a witness whether Schwerner was part of a plot to rape white women, oh my God. Okay, can we not forget that several years prior to this, Money, Mississippi was the place where, oh my God, now it's like leaving my head. That kid was killed.
The one that got his face
for whistling.
Yes. Where his mom had to come.
Emmett Till. Money, Mississippi was where Emmett Till was killed. So Mississippi has a long history, and obviously there was these 8 bodies that they found in the swamps and everywhere else. Yeah, just sad. A lot of shit was going down in Mississippi apparently in the 60s, and probably way before that. Okay, but on the first day so we're talking about Judge Cox being prejudiced and them worrying about whether this was going to be a fair trial or not. But on the first day of the trial, when the defense attorney asked a witness whether Schwerner was part of a plot to rape white women during the summer of 1964, Cox called the question improper, stating, "I'm not going to allow a farce to be made of this trial." This surprised the prosecutor, and it was clear he was taking the trial seriously. So they were like, okay, well, maybe.
That was not it. EVP.
Was that your
tummy?
Throat. Okay, as the trial proceeded, the prosecution read the 1964 confessions of Horace Doyle Barnett and James Jordan, which described what happened on the night of June 21st. So I didn't really go through the list of all the fucking KKK members. Sorry.
Ooh. That was
it just forced out.
That was like your meal came up with it.
Yeah. Maybe I should be wearing stretchy pants. Okay. So I was saying, I'm not going down the list of all the names of all the KKK members because I don't want to give them advertisement. No. Who gives a fuck? But they are going to come up. There are specific guys. Anyways, prosecution read the 1964 confessions of Horace Doyle Barnett and James Jordan, which described what happened on the night of June 21st after leaving Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman in the Philadelphia jail. Cecil Price, so when you watch Mississippi Burning, he's portrayed, what's the name of that one actress? Frances McDormand. She plays that deputy's wife, so that's supposed to be Cecil Price. That's the character, but there's a scene in there where she basically tells the other actor, I can't remember his name right now, tells him where the bodies are. She's a fictional character all the way around. So anyways, after leaving Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman in the Philadelphia jail, Cecil Price contacted Edgar Ray Killen, one of the leaders of the Ku Klux Klan, and he's played by that. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's just he's the business owner in the movie, the Mississippi Burning movie, where he kind of gets away with everything. But he's the one that instigates it all because he's the leader of the whole thing.
Is Kevin Spacey in it?
No.
Who is that? I just got a vision of somebody. It's going to drive me crazy.
Gene Hackman.
That's who it is. Gene Hackman. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I think of Gene Hackman and I think of the first Superman movies where he's Lex Luthor. That's what always comes into my head. But when he was and I don't think he's an attractive man. But in Mississippi Burning, he was an and the first time I watched this, I was there was something very attractive about him, some kind of pull about him. Just the way he plays that role.
Right.
I don't know what it was. That made me hot for Gene Hackman.
That's hilarious. He just got sexy all of a sudden.
He was really sexy in that movie. I don't know what it was. All right, so Killen directed Klan members to gather in Philadelphia that evening when 2 cars filled with Klansmen headed for the outskirts of Philadelphia. This is kind of the details of what happened that night. 2 cars filled with Klansmen headed for the outskirts of Philadelphia. Price released the civil rights workers from jail and ordered them to head back to Meridian. He then joined the pursuit of the core station wagon. So that deputy joins the pursuit. He jumps in one of the cars and then they start chasing him down. Catching up with the 3 civil rights workers on Highway 19, the Klansmen forced the men into their cars and drove all the vehicles to Rock Cut Road, a nearby side street. They forced the men out of the vehicle, and James Jordan and Elton Roberts shot Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman.
Ugh.
James Chaney, who happened to be the only African American with them, was beaten before he was shot, and he was shot 3 times, where the other 2 were only shot once.
Oh, gosh.
After the victims had been shot, they were quickly loaded into their station wagon and transported to Burridge's Old Jolly Farm, located along Highway 21, a few miles southwest of Philadelphia, where an earthen dam for a farm pond was under construction, and like all the workers were ordered to leave early. Tucker was already at the dam waiting for the lynch mob's arrival. Earlier in the day, Barrage, Posey, and Tucker had met at either Posey's gas station or Barrage's garage to discuss these burial details, and Tucker most likely was the one who covered up the bodies using a bulldozer that he owned. An autopsy... That's not even the worst part of this. You want to know the worst part of this? An autopsy of Goodman showing fragments of red clay in his lungs, and there was like hard red clay in his just clasped in his fist, suggests he was probably buried alive.
Nope.
After they were buried, Deputy Price made a speech. Well, boys, you've done a good job. You've struck a blow for the white man. Mississippi can be proud of you. You've let those agitating outsiders know where this state stands. Wow. Go home now and forget it. Just put it out of you.
I mean, they really do think they're doing
God's work. But before you go, I'm looking each one of you in the eye and telling you this. The first man who talks is dead. If anybody who knows anything about this ever opens his mouth to any outsider about it, then the rest of us are going to kill him, just as dead as we killed those 3 son of a bitches tonight. God. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? The man who talks is dead, dead, dead.
Wow.
So in 1967, 7 men were convicted on federal conspiracy charges and given sentences. Nobody got convicted of murder. Of 3 to 10 years, but none served more than 6.
Oh.
Yeah. No one was tried on the charge of murder. The contemptible words of the presiding federal judge, William Cox, that motherfucker, gives an indication of Mississippi's version of justice at the time. They killed 1 N-word, 1 Jew, and a white man. I gave them all what I thought they deserved. Another 8 defendants were... I gave them all what I thought they deserved. Another 8 defendants were acquitted by their all-white juries, and another 3 ended in mistrials. One of those mistrials freed Edgar Ray Preacher Killen, believed to be the ringleader after the jury in this case was deadlocked by one member who said she couldn't bear to convict a preacher.
Oh, heavens.
Some preacher. On January 7, 2005, 4 decades after the crime, Edgar Ray Killen, then 80, was charged with 3 counts of murder. He was accused of orchestrating the killings and assembling the mob that killed the 3 men. So that was just recent, 2005.
Holy cow.
On June 21st, the 41st anniversary of the murders, Killen was convicted on 3 counts of manslaughter, a lesser charge. He received the maximum sentence, 60 years in prison, which, I mean, he's 80 at this time.
Oh, wow. Well, he already got to live most of his life.
Yeah, motherfucker. The grand jury declined to call for the rest of the 7 other living members of the original group. 18 suspects arrested in 1967. And I was watching like one of the documentaries, and they were talking about these guys are just, living their life, living the grand old, ripe old age, last days of their lives, just with no repercussions for taking the lives of other human beings.
Nope.
A major reason the case was reopened was a 1999 interview with Sam Bowers, a former Ku Klux Klan. I always want to say Ku Klux Klan, but it's Ku Klux Klan. Grand Wizard, convicted in 1967, so he was a Grand Wizard, of giving... Interview of Sam Bowers, a former Ku Klux Klan wizard, convicted in 1967 of giving the order to have Michael Schwerner killed. Bowers remarked in the interview that took place...
Our microphones keep making weird noises.
I don't know, why is that doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And then Shorty's
snoring
in the background here.
Yeah, I don't know why. We're not touching anything.
So Killen basically says to him, I was quite delighted to be convicted and have the main instigator of the entire affair walk out of the courtroom a free man. Everybody, including the trial judge and the prosecutors and everybody else, knows that happened. Bowers claims that Killen was a central figure in the murders and organized the KKK mob that carried them out. So he threw him under the bus. Everybody fucking knew. Everybody fucking knew it. Like, just because this guy said it, like, they had more than enough evidence at the time it happened, but they weren't willing to convict him of murder. But since laws and, like, feelings and everything changed over the years, they finally, like, take this up.
Almost like it gets unavoidable. You have to do something.
Right. Mississippi Burning is a 1988, we keep mentioning it, 1988 American biographical, I mean, if that's what you want to call it, crime thriller film directed by Alan Parker that is loosely based on the 1964 Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner murder investigation in Mississippi. And like I said, it stars Gene Hackman, William Dafoe, and they're the two FBI agents assigned to investigate the disappearance of 3 civil rights workers in fictional Jessup County, Mississippi. Upon release, Mississippi Burning was criticized by activists involved in the civil rights movement and the families of Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner for its fictionalization of events. Critical reaction was mixed, though the performances of Hackman, Dafoe, and Frances McDormand were generally praised. The film grossed $34.6 million in North American box office revenue against a production budget of $15 million. It received 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and it won for Best Cinematography. Gene Hackman as Agent Rupert Anderson was based on John Proctor, which was one of the FBI agents. Willem Dafoe as Agent Alan Ward, based on Joseph Sullivan. I got my information from PBS American Experience, Wikipedia, FBI.gov website, and Civil Rights Digital Library. Side note, so when you watch the movie, there's this one scene where they get the mayor of this town in Mississippi Burning. They get the mayor, they kidnap him, and they have this kind of like outside, like tough guy when Willem Dafoe and Gene Hackman finally kind of like butt heads, and they're like, Gene Hackman's like, I'm going to do it my way. So he pulls in this guy, they kidnap the mayor, and they take him, and he like threatens him with a razor blade that he's going to cut his nuts off.
Oh my God.
And he basically, in that instance, he gives up the location of the bodies. Or he gives up something, which leads them to the next step and whatever. So there was this guy. What was that?
I think it's her.
Jeez, she's just like so.
Yeah, she's in La La Land for sure.
Very asleep. So there's this guy. Okay, in the movie, it's played by this actor Baja DeJola. He plays a black guy that, you know, comes in and does that. He's doing the dirty work. But in real life, supposedly it was this FBI informant who was a former capo and hitman for the Colombo crime family.
What?
His name is Gregory Scarpa. He actually he didn't do the whole razor blade thing, but he like helped. It wasn't the mayor. It was some other guy that was involved.
Wow.
And the FBI doesn't corroborate it, but they don't deny it either. So very interesting detail. And that's supposedly he's the one that gave whoever this guy was. Like, I didn't write all this part in the story, but this guy that he threatens is the one that gives the location of the bodies. But the FBI is like, no, it was this Mr. X.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ooh, that's some good fun facts.
Isn't that an interesting fact?
So interesting.
Yeah.
I was digging it. Well, I'm gonna take a break. We'll be right back.
And we're back. You know what I watched the other day? Mary Poppins, the new one.
Oh, was it good?
It was okay.
I never got into the first one.
My mom used to love it, so we used to watch it all the time. So that's why.
I feel bad because I didn't do that to my kids.
Sound of Music, Wizard of Oz.
I love the Sound.
All those.
Wizard of Oz.
Oklahoma.
Always scared me, but we watched it because it was my sister's favorite. But I like Sound of Music. It's just Mary Poppins was the only one I couldn't get into.
Really? A spoonful
I love
of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Spoonful of sugar.
We should never have a musical.
Hilarious.
I'm kind of tone deaf.
Oh, I'm super tone deaf. And the best thing is, I think I sound amazing. I'm just kidding. I don't.
I think my first clue is
I know
my
I sound
kids would
terrible.
tell me to stop singing when they were really little.
Yeah.
Mom, don't sing.
No.
Serena would put her hand on my mouth.
Oh, that's so sad. Yeah. No, I can't dance and I don't sing.
I can dance after a few shots of tequila.
Mm-mm.
Or I think I can dance. I can definitely shake my booty.
Yeah, I don't even have. I mean, I used to when I was younger, thinner. I had a little more groove, but not much. Like, I don't even have. I can do good, like, dancing at the bar. I look like I know how to dance, and so somebody will come up and be like,
And then
"Hey, you want to dance?"
And I'm like, "You have two left feet."
Not even that. It's just I am Elaine on Seinfeld. That's me. There is no rhythm, no groove, no nothing. Like when they say everybody can dance. No, not this one.
Not everybody.
Nope. I can't even bop up and down. Nope. I can sitting down. But once you get the legs involved and the arms.
Right. Try to coordinate like all your limbs together. Like it doesn't work.
To a beat. Forget about it. Yeah. That's what I would like.
You go.
Biting the lip.
All right, if you guys could see us, we're like doing our dance.
This is where
right
we
now.
need the camera.
Yeah. I'm break dancing. Look at.
Oh.
Wait.
See? I can't even do that.
Do the wave.
Nope. I'm going to have to pee again in 2 seconds.
Oh, no.
For God's sakes alive. Let's get to my story.
She's like, I'm going to pee again in 2 seconds. And she takes a sip of her work.
That's right. I mean, if I'm going to pee, I may as well drink. Are we ready?
I'm ready for your story. I'm excited. And
go.
we're sticking kind of with the same theme, right?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
And I'm going back.
MISSI, PPI.
I'm going to the Civil War time.
Taking it way back.
Go way back. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so a little history. It's about McRaven House, which is known in Mississippi as not one of, it is known as the most haunted house in Mississippi.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. You're scary. You're scary up in there.
Really?
The McRaven House was built in 1797.
Oh, wow.
And it's crazy because it was built in like 3 different times. So they kind of say it's like a time capsule because it was built in...
Like different editions were different times?
Yeah,
okay.
Different owners, it's kind of cool. But anyway, the first owner is Andrew Glass. It was built in Walnut Hills, which is now Vicksburg, Mississippi. That's okay.
A little disgusting.
A little inappropriate. Look at her cleaning her
mama.
baby, though.
Cleaning her big ass baby.
Like, here, let me get this for you. Anyway, it's now Vicksburg, Mississippi, in the Civil War era. It is now known as the Bob House.
The Bob? Bob? Like Bob the Builder?
B-O-B-B.
B-O-B-B.
House. Ah. And it is listed in the National Register of Historic Places as such. McRaven got its current name from the street it is located on, which was formerly called McRaven Street. It's kind of funny how they switched the name of this.
Right.
Anyway, it was McRaven Street, but is now Harrison Street.
But it's still McRaven House.
Oh! Fuck! I got a taste of it! Oh my God! No! I'll give you a dance! Oh my God! Nope. I took an allergy pill. I should be able to breathe.
And we're back again after that interruption. So I lied, apparently, about the fact that I've been really good at
That's hilarious.
Flatulating on a regular basis.
I feel like I need to brush my teeth now. I just bit into a fart.
Like literally. You
Literally.
know when you can literally taste the particles of shit that
You
have swallowed them.
It was like hot, burning rubber coming out of that dog's ass.
I feel like we never can have an episode
Where where
dogs aren't farting or snoring or shitting or some sort of bodily functioning coming out of a dog. And if it isn't the dogs, it's us.
It's us.
Right? Okay, where were we? We were talking about McRaven House.
I need to start bringing an inhaler. All right. Oh my God.
You want some coffee? That might help open up your lungs a little.
It's okay. I just don't want to have to pee in 5 minutes. It's probably going to happen anyway. Story of my life. Okay.
McRaven House, the street, what it was being named
anyway,
after.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's crazy that they feel like with each time they change the name, you can't stop thinking about it now. Each time the street name changes, they have to change the name of the house. Yeah. But anyway, it's the Bob House now. Anyway,
the Bob.
It's funny,
Bob.
It's the Bob House, but they call this McRaven.
Bob.
It's Bob.
It's a house named Bob.
But they call it McRaven House. Which is it?
Spelled
Bob House or
B-O-B-B. McRaven House. B-O-B-B-B.
Yes.
Bob.
It's Boob's house. Anyway, the first portion of the house was built in 1797, as I said, when George Washington was president.
Interesting.
Yeah, and before Mississippi became a state.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love doing these stories. I learn a little bit, just a little. It was originally serving as a one-way station for pioneers en route to Nashville, Tennessee, along with the Natchez Trace.
Not
just Trace.
Fused with nachos?
Not nachos. Natchez Trace.
Nachos.
Some nachos to the Mississippi River. Okay, so Mr. Glass, Andrew Glass, he's a highwayman, and this was his gig.
Did he have brittle bone disease?
I don't believe so. Oh. But he had this whole station was like, it was like one big con. So the original house was built with a 2-room brick structure. I can't talk. Story's over.
Join the club.
2-room brick structure with 1 bedroom above the kitchen that had a removable ladder to prevent an ambush, while he slept. But that's not what I heard.
Okay.
But I'm going to explain that. Just remember this removable ladder, because in about 2 seconds, I'm going to explain it. Another story I heard about the ladder. Anyway, the house was built with blueberry and buttermilk plaster. So basically, it's a giant pancake.
Yum. Sounds
but it
delicious.
also had like horsehair, I think, in it.
Okay,
they just neglected to say that.
Okay. He killed it with the horsehair.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat that.
I was about to go put some syrup on that.
Blueberry and buttermilk. But what's crazy is it still stands today with that horsehair, blueberry, buttermilk plaster.
Who knew?
And it also, in at least one of the rooms I know, has the original wallpaper in it. You know what they said?
From 1790 something?
From one of these, around that time. I don't know which one. And I think it had something to do with not cleaning it often, not dusting a lot. So basically,
the horsehair got in there because they didn't dust?
No.
Oh.
This is the room that has the original wallpaper in it to this day.
Okay.
And it still looks good.
Really?
And I think it's because they said something about, so then they, it's like, don't dust your house, it'll preserve it. But
interesting. I'm going to try that method.
I've already tried it. Still am trying it. Okay, so let me just explain his house. Yeah.
Oh.
It's beautiful. But anyway, let me explain this 2-room thing. So what Andrew Glass did was people would come and stay, like put their stuff at this station for pioneers, So they would kind of drop off stuff and stay there, I guess. And then he would he what I heard was that he's murdered people, but I don't know, that wasn't mentioned in some of this stuff.
What you heard when you say you heard?
When I heard, it was some of the stories as I was researching. And then they also said, well, his con was he would just steal from these people, take it up into that room.
Pull up the ladder.
Nobody could take.
Have some buttermilk pancakes and just kind of kick it up there until they left.
Yeah. So nobody could take what he had taken from them. So where it was saying like he did it so in case there was an ambush, it was actually so people couldn't take their belongings back that he had stolen. And I don't truly believe it had anything to do with the ambush, but I guess that could be part of it. Anyway, he died in that house. He's number one to die in the house.
Of natural causes? Or
Mr. Glass would rob people traveling to the Natchez Trace. And hide out in McRaven. His surprising death became the start of McRaven's haunting. Well, okay, so I just want to make sure. I think he's the one that... Okay, yeah. Here, let me first... I'm just going to read this. As first built, McRaven consisted of only a kitchen and one room above it. This part of the house is known as the Pioneers section. Andrew is the first soul to haunt the hall of this soon-to-be large house. As he and his wife... Okay, so I guess he had gotten caught by the sheriff. Somebody had shot him. He came home and was like, I got caught. They're going to hang me. I don't want to be hanged, so you need to finish me off. He had his wife shoot him, kill him, take him out.
What a crazy request.
Yeah, so she did. And he died in the house. Also, he didn't have to be...
That'd be crazy if they had like a bad marriage and she's like, okay.
Nice. I finally get to get rid of you.
I've been waiting to do this for years.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so that's what happened to him. Also, he didn't have to pay for his crimes by being hanged.
Hanged?
Anyone but hanged.
He just got shot.
By his wife. Like, what a shitty thing to do to her.
I know. Now she's got to live with that dick.
Unless maybe she didn't like him.
Maybe she was like, cool.
It's one way to get rid of him.
I'm tired of a shit motherfucker.
Yep. Thanks for the permission. All right, so in 1830...
He's probably like, his ghost is like, you didn't have to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, she really liked it. I asked for one bullet hole.
And if he's haunting the place and she moves on with her life, gets another husband, or like he has to watch the whole thing.
I get it. Well, doesn't sound like he ventured off. It sounds like he stayed at the house.
Interesting.
In 1836, the very sheriff that I believe shot Mr. Glass, I think, is the one that ended up buying the house. But I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Anyway, his name is Stephen Howard. He bought the house.
That shot him?
I think it's the very same one.
Wait, Mr. Glass is the one that had his wife shoot him?
Yeah. And then the sheriff...
Shoots him too?
Okay, remember he came home injured because he was shot.
Okay. Sorry. I'm like...
Anyway, in 1836, the sheriff, Stephen Howard, bought the house with his very young wife. Very young, I mean 12 years old when they got married.
Ew!
Her name was Mary Elizabeth. Oh, get this.
That's gross. How old is he?
I don't...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't say, but he was
12.
Definitely older.
She's 12.
He's a sheriff, so
That's
he's
gross.
older. It is, but that's what they did back then. Anyway, when they married, she was 12. And he added the middle dining room and the bedroom above it. It was built in Empire architectural style. We all know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
anyway,
I know exactly what that is. No.
Sheriff Howard's wife, Mary Elizabeth, she died in the house during childbirth at age 15 in late August of 1836. In the middle bedroom. And
which was like, if you were a woman back then, if you were gonna die, it was probably in childbirth.
Yeah, but at 15, like, what could go wrong with that? I don't know. That's so young. I don't know. Anyway, he lived in the house with the child for a couple years, and then he moved on. And then the house was purchased by John H. Bob B.O.B.B.
John H. Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, in 1849.
We're assholes. Sorry. If you're from Mississippi, sorry.
Yeah, we're butchering that.
Yeah.
Bob built the rest of the house
Bob the Builder?
in Greek Revival style. So he added a front entryway, a parlor, another beautiful staircase. Oh, and the guy before, what was his name? Howard? Mr. Howard built a staircase also. So now I think we're on 2 or 3 staircases.
So Greek Revival is the facade that's on there now.
Probably. He added upstairs and a dressing area for him, a gentleman's dressing area. Okay, so during this, so now this place has grown. It's pretty. You see, it's huge, right. And it's very pretty.
It is pretty. It looks like your typical southern,
like a colonial looking. Doesn't it look colonial?
Well, it doesn't have the.
It has the pillar.
It has the pillars, but it's not those
the round ones. Greek yeah, you're right. Anyway, during the Civil War's 1863 siege of Vicksburg, McRaven was used as a Confederate field hospital and campsite.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Since it was located so close to the railroad, a major point of battle, the house was it still has original like bullet holes and stuff. It had gotten damaged by cannon blasts and from both the Union and Confederate forces. Wow. And there's a lot of soldiers died right like on that property. So keep that in mind because I'm pretty sure it's haunted by more than just 5 souls.
Right.
Anyway, the siege of Vicksburg, I'll just, because I was pretty interested in some of this, for those of you who don't know. It was May 18th to July 4th, 1863. I'm just going to read it real fast. It was the final major military action of the Vicksburg campaign of the American Civil War. In the series of maneuvers, Union Major General Ulysses
S. Grant.
Can't even say it. Ulysses S. Grant. S. Grant and his army of the Tennessee crossed the Mississippi. Now I'm stuck on, I can't say his name. Crossed the Mississippi River and drove to the Confederate Army of Mississippi. But do you know that, I'm not going to get into it. He kind of was like General Grant was kind of like I think he was like a store owner before he became in the military.
Really?
Yeah, he was just like worked in a store or something. And so then to become somebody in history that's so prominent, you really don't know who you're going to be.
Right.
You know?
True.
Anyway, I found that really interesting. Anyway, Vicksburg was the last, I think I may have, just skip it. The important part is...
Just skip it.
Yeah, let's see.
Fast forward.
I have no idea where I stopped.
They're crossed
the Mississippi River and drove to the Confederate Army of Mississippi led by Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton into the defensive lines surrounding the fortress city of Vicksburg, Mississippi. Vicksburg, I can't even say Vicksburg. What is wrong with me? Was the last major
whiskey tongue.
I mean, I did make a pretty big one, and it's almost gone. At least
you're not talking like I was in the last episode.
No, mine's more like because from the energy, my energy being like. Bleh. Vicksburg was the last major Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi River. Therefore, capturing it was kind of like the Holy Grail.
Okay.
Oh, so burpy. When 2 major assaults against the Confederate... I'm not going to read all this because this doesn't blah, 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 blah. I thought I summarized it.
Blah, 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 blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it was a big deal that this area got seized.
Okay.
Because it was kind of like the last little piece of where everything needed to come. And then that's where like Mississippi became an actual state. Mm-hmm. Not too long after that anyway. But anyway, let's see. When 2 major assaults against the Confederate fortifications on May 19th and 22nd were repulsed with heavy casualties, Grant decided to besiege. See, he lost a ton of men. So it was kind of like he had to pull out, what do you call it, a Hail Mary to do what he did. And that's why I'm like, this was just like, he's just a store owner or worker. I mean, it's not like he had serious training, war training. It doesn't seem like, you know. I mean, he really? Obviously did. He was
like one of the most famous generals.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you never know who you're going to be. That's not how he started.
Right.
It's just this war happened and he ended up in it, kind of thing. It was, you know, it wasn't like, this is my career for life.
Right. He wasn't something before. Like before he was the store owner? I don't, like, I'm not going to pretend I know a lot. I just know.
I don't know what he was.
He was.
But he was
one of the major generals for the North.
Yeah, he's general, lieutenant. I mean, he's like high up there. Mm-hmm. And he's like the reason why this happened.
Right.
You know, but it's crazy to think that that's not where he started. He was a store owner. Like, anyway, let's skip all that. The bottom line is, it was because of this siege. I just thought it was really interesting that all about this, not the whole Confederate Union, all that, but just this one little piece. I thought it was really interesting. But anyway, okay, because of how the towns were surrounded, citizens, rich and poor, were forced. This went on for like 47 days. And because of this, it didn't matter if you were rich or you were poor, they were kind of forced out of their homes. Even this Bob guy, you know, his house, it's not like he was like, here, use my house. He was kind of forced out of it. I don't think he actually had to go into hiding, but a lot of people, they were like going into these makeshift caves. And I mean, after 47 days, you run out of food.
Right.
They were starved. And so they were eating things like rats and, let's see.
Yum.
Dogs.
Rats on a stick.
Dogs. Horses and mules.
Ugh.
I mean, they were eating whatever was there that they wouldn't ordinarily eat. And I saw somewhere that they were like, and that was being served at the butcher. And I'm like, that none of that was available, though. They were like in hiding. I heard that.
Right.
May 18th, 1864, after Vicksburg had fallen to Union forces, John Bob noticed a group of 6 drunken Union occupation soldiers picking flowers from a garden. Outraged, Bob promptly ordered them to leave immediately. The soldiers cursed at him and refused to leave, so John picked up a brick and threw it at them. He's like, fuck you assholes, this is my house. He knocked out a sergeant. He knocked him to the ground, which that's pretty, nope. The soldiers left, vowing to burn down Bob's house. So Bob reported the incident to the federal commander of Vicksburg, General Henry W. Slocum.
Slocum, that's a great name.
Looks kind of funny written here. Who dismissively said he'd yell at those responsible.
I'll get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. And
they picked my flowers in the middle of a war.
Well, I'm going to talk to those bad boys. And so upon returning to the gates of his home, Bob was met by 25 Union troops who took him to Stout's Bayou, about 100 yards from his house, and fatally... First, though...
Oh, shit.
They fatally shot him.
Serious quick.
They shot him in the back and face.
Oh, it all started over some flowers?
Yeah, but I also saw where they were talking about, like, he was beaten, too, but being shot in the back and face is pretty personal.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bob's death was the first recorded act of violence perpetrated by Union troops after the siege. John's widow, Selina Bob, sold the house to a realtor in 1869. To a realtor? And moved to a family plantation outside of New Orleans, Louisiana, called Sunnyside. Okay, now...
Sunnyside, Louisiana.
I mean, she needs to be at a place called Sunnyside after what her husband went through.
Right.
Anyways, McRaven was eventually sold to William Murray. in 1882, Murray and his wife Ellen Flynn raised 4 daughters and 3 sons in McRaven. William Murray died at the house in 1911. His wife Ellen died there in 1921. Their daughter Ida died in 1946, and a son died in 1950, all in McRaven. It's interesting that I just read all that because some people were like, only 5 people are like noted to have died in the residence. That takes us up to more. So I'm going to stick with my information.
Well, Bob didn't technically die in McRaven.
He died on the property,
right.
though. But so did a lot of soldiers. Right. So do we count all them, too? Because that's like thousands.
Right.
From this point on, William's daughters, Annie and Ella Murray, both considered unmarried. What do you call them? Spinsters.
Spinsters? I mean, what was that? Like they were 30? Unmarried and 30?
They never got married.
Oh, okay.
And I think they died in like their 80s. Brad Pitt again. Both unmarried, lived alone in the house with no modern conveniences. Nothing. No TVs, they did have a telephone. That's it.
Okay.
Aside from a telephone. And no contact with the outside world except their doctor, Walter Johnston. In 1960, Ella Murray died at the age of 81, and her sister Annie sold the house after moving into her nursing home.
Oh.
Yeah. It's crazy that it was in the family that long, though.
Yeah, that is a long time.
At this point, the house was in such disrepair that neighbors and current residents had no idea it existed. Isn't that crazy? It's so, like, what? How do you not know?
So there was like a big hedge in front of it? Like,
I think, you know how like once somebody doesn't take care of it and it's kind of like not being lived in, right. Like, because it wasn't, they were living in it, right. But it wasn't lived in, then kind of like the nature starts to grow,
right?
I think that's what was happening. It was so overgrown with stuff that
it just disappeared.
Yeah, and people just, I think,
into nature.
Yeah, and you know how like you kind of, something's there, you see it every day, you start to not see it anymore. Right. Yeah, the upper story was completely overgrown. Oh, I'm so smart. Like, this is the first time I read it. The upper story was completely overgrown with vines, and the sisters had resorted to chopping up the antique furniture for firewood.
That is sad.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Oh. And this is like in the 60s?
Yep. 1960.
Like, they must have been like
1950s and 60s, I would say, is like the later part.
That's sad.
Yeah. In 1960, the house was sold to the Bradway family. With a cosmetic restoration, McRaven was opened to the public as a tour home in 1961. Oh, in 1961 that happened. Well, they got it fixed up quick. Huh. In 19...
just went in there with a weed whacker. Look at this wallpaper. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, maybe that's
probably
what preserved
what kept it so...
In 1979, O.E. Bradway sold McRaven and some of the furnishings to Charles and Sandra Harvey.
What hadn't been turned into firewood. Anyways.
Yeah, for $75,000.
Wow.
Wow, that's a steal. After the spring pilgrimage... It's a big word, Carlene. Pilgrimage. The Harveys closed the house and took on a year-long restoration at a cost near $100,000. Still, Jeez. That's a good deal for that house. The restoration included such things as woodwork, rewiring, plumbing, and plastering. A master at plaster.
Master Blaster?
A master at plaster restorations. Mr. Little. I cannot read this. Mr. Little of Jackson took on the extraordinary task of plastering all the walls and ceilings and restoring the Greek revival cornices and ceiling medallions. It's Cornices.
Cornices, yeah.
I don't even know what that is. And ceiling medallions. Having samples of the original carpet, from the John Bob era. Miss Harvey found
Billy Bob? John Bob?
John
Billy
Bob.
Bob?
Found a company in Georgia to reproduce the carpet for the parlor, front entry stairwell, and upstairs front bedroom. She also did extensive research on each period of the house to have authentic paint, wallpaper, fabrics, and furnishings for the public.
Interesting.
The front and rear porch were in despair and had been roped off by Bradway. Lincoln Brown with the Waterways Experimental Station rebuilt both front and rear porches. While in the attic, Mr. Harvey discovered many rafters had been damaged from the Union's shelling. Oh, see, this is where it needed repair. The 1840s privy, which was purchased by Bradway from the Vic House, was also repaired, once again ready for touring. So basically, they just revamped the whole house. It says here the Harveys moved to Natchez and sold McRaven to Leland French for $275,000. This place has been sold so many times.
I know.
I'm almost done. Almost to the ghost.
Okay.
In 1984, Leland French purchased McRaven and did further restoration. French was the first owner since the Murrays to reside in the house. Aside from a modern kitchen and bathroom in its basement, McRaven has remained largely unchanged since the 19th century. For this reason, McRaven was featured in the July 1963 issue of National Geographic, which called it Time Capsule of the South.
Wow.
Interesting. It's also been featured, like Ghost Adventures was there, National Geographic, Travel Channel. There's been a lot of stuff done on it. In May 2007, owner Leland French put McRaven up for sale for $1,750,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That price just keeps going up and up and up.
In August 2015, Stephen and Kendra Reed purchased the home. They reopened it for both historical and ghost tours. And that's what they do now. Even now they do with the masks and everything. They showed that they do, safe ghost tours and do groups. And anyway, it's a cool place. If you're in Mississippi and you want to go visit it, go. It sounds like it's an awesome place to visit. Anyway, the ghosts.
Okay. What I'm waiting for.
It's known for one of the most haunted places. Okay. Adding to the legend of McRaven being haunted, at least 5 occupants, which we know there's more,
right,
died inside the house. We talked about John Bob, right? Oh, no. Did I tell you John Bob was murdered?
Yeah.
No, not John.
There's a different Bob?
Did I say John Bob was murdered outside? Oh, yeah, because he was taken by the soldiers. Okay. Whoo, Carlene, keep up with your own damn story. I'm tired. Never do a podcast the same day I do a reading. Yeah. He was murdered just outside the premises. It's also likely that a few Confederate soldiers died on the property. Told you that. During the time, it was used as a field hospital also. Did I tell you that?
Yeah. Okay. So definitely soldiers
died.
Come on.
Yeah. Reports of ghostly activity are said to spread throughout the house, but the center of the activity seems to be in the middle bedroom upstairs, the room where Mary Elizabeth Howard, age 15, died while giving birth. Her ghost is believed to be responsible for the bedside lamp in this room. For what? That doesn't make sense. Anyway.
Does it turn on and off or what?
Yeah, which has been reported to turn on and off seemingly at will. In the time before Leland French bought the house and started living there in 1984 and the previous owners who didn't reside in the home were frequently awakened by calls in the middle of the night telling them the lights at McRaven had come on.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps right now.
Crazy, right? Mary Elizabeth's ghostly apparition has appeared on the house's flying wing staircase. Move on to the next page, Carlene. Yes, they commented a lot about seeing her apparition, and I think people might have caught it on photograph, but I'm not sure 100%. I didn't even look it up. Oh, and in the dining room. And they also say something about hearing kids going up and down the stairs too. Mm-hmm.
And that's That hasn't been mentioned, that kids passed away.
No.
Oh, well, they had a family that pretty much died in the house, right?
I might mention it in here. We'll see. While handling Mary Elizabeth's wedding shawl, some people say it admits heat, while others claim it almost jumps out of their hands.
Damn, her wedding shawl is still intact and still there?
I guess so.
Was that in the attic or something?
I think they have it in her room.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
where'd they find it?
I don't know.
Like after it, I mean...
Oh, I don't know. They didn't say.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I want to say, let's see. Oh, yeah. And let me see if I talk about it in here, because I took notes while I was watching some YouTubers. And actually, there was only one paranormal group, really, that I saw that was in there. McRaven owner Leland French once saw the ghost of former owner William Murray on the staircase. And after realizing who it was and the fact that he is dead, a frightened French ran upstairs to the Bob bedroom. The
Bob bedroom?
The Bob bedroom.
Okay.
And locked the door. Yeah, that's going to keep him out.
Yep.
He later called an Episcopal priest and had the house blessed. The spirits of Ella and Annie Murray, I could picture them not leaving. Like me, I'll haunt the shit out of my house. Well, they spent
so many years in that. Like they...
Yeah.
It sounds like they raised their family there. Yeah.
They love their house.
Yeah.
Are also said to roam the grounds of McRaven. Okay, so I watched some paranormal investigators called Society of the Supernatural. Society of the Supernatural. Sounds like I have to change my voice to get these words out.
You could be like a radio announcer.
Yes. While investigating, I put on my 1-800 call Carlene voice. While investigating, they did a lot of EVPs. Don't get excited, people. That's just my sexy voice. They did get a lot of EVPs, and they play a lot of spirit. Oh, okay. As they're walking through the house, and they just naturally were getting EVPs on their equipment. So you would hear like whispering of words and things. Also, I may mention this again, but there was like a cackle in the house. Like, I can't even mimic it. It's just this creepy ass giggle that was throughout the house. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'll mention it again. But anyway, and they play with the spirit box. Almost the whole time they have the spirit box going, like they're very dependent on the spirit box. Right. And they don't even have to be, because they're naturally getting EVPs. Right. But anyway, almost the whole time they get things that make sense, though. Like when they were asking questions, they were getting, it wasn't like, sometimes I'll doubt the spirit box, because sometimes it's just saying words and you're like, it's not even making sense. But when we were doing it and it's actually like it's answering us or making sense, that's what this was doing. Okay. But what I liked the most was, while using all of the fancy tools, they did get disembodied cries of a woman. This is the thing. You don't need those fancy tools. If that place is truly haunted, they're going to find a way. And that's the thing. They were using spirit boxes and REM pods, and they didn't even need all that, because they were naturally getting stuff. Yeah, and the woman, the crying from the woman, it happened a lot. Like a few times in a row, they were getting the. It was a weird. So you can't deny it
out there.
It is. It's the only one. It's okay. If you just get on YouTube and pull up Society of Supernatural, but if you just pull up the McRae house, all right. Well, in a bedroom where the wife slashed her husband's throat.
What? Oh yeah.
Oh wait. Okay. Maybe.
Did she not?
There were two different stories. One that she shot him.
Okay.
And then there was one that she actually slashed his throat.
Which is uglier.
Yeah, it's gross. That's why there's two different things here.
Okay.
Anyway, I look at multiple resources. So.
Well, and then the story, is like 1700s.
Yeah. So you're going to get multiple stories if they're.
Even if it's like recent, sometimes you're going to get multiple stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they also get a figure on the. Okay, so you know those SLS apps where they can. Well, apps or they actually sell machines that are just SLS machines. But anyway,
Where
it shows the
little
stick.
stick figures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had actually gotten the little spirit sitting on the bed and a male's voice on the spirit box that seems to say things that correlate with like the violence that happened in that room. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, some yucky things happened. There was some very not nice owners of that house. In the beginning of their video, while filming with night vision and attempting to use the spirit box, I personally could see tons of energies flying all around. But like when they were getting certain hits, I could see the energy going to like the box, and then they would get an answer of something. And
really?
Yeah, so it was kind of cool to actually see the spirit go to the box, and they weren't even catching it, or they don't care about, because a lot of these people don't.
It's what they can record with their electronic devices.
Yeah.
They're not paying attention to the other stuff.
And some will be like, I don't believe the orbs, it's dust. And I'm like, no, dust can just be controlled like that. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, 2 guides holding the spirit box. Anyway, it was amazing. Well, walking to the oldest part of the house, this is where, when they're in the newer part of the house, it doesn't seem like they get as much. When they go to the older part, they get a shitload of spirit activity. Walking to the old part of the house, that's the most active part. One of the guys, they're like, you have to go like up some steps or down some steps, and he gets totally thrown off. And the reason I believe he wasn't being dramatic or fake is because he really got hurt. Oh. Like they show his knee and he really got hurt. So I don't think he would do that to himself on purpose. I don't know.
He was drinking before they started recording.
No. And you can kind of tell, like, it wasn't like he got pushed. It was like something knocked him off balance. And he said something hit my elbow and knocked me off balance. Oh, and okay, he states that Ghost Adventures also made a visit to this house.
Interesting.
But I couldn't find it.
No?
And then it was one of those that you have to pay to watch, and I'm not going to pay to watch this. Watch him be dramatic and whatever. And then there was a channel called Tangi, Tangi Paranormal, was investigating, and they had a flashlight. And you know how spirit will turn the flashlight on and off? And they had a flashlight on a chair and asked Selena Bob to turn it on. And you can see, again, the energy orb fly by the chair right as the flashlight turns on.
Oh.
Yeah. And then when they ask for validation of it being Selena, she turns the light off and on again. This whole time you can see the energy of the spirit flying around, which I don't know if they caught that.
Right. So, like, is it the former wives? It seems like they're the ones that are
Sounds
haunting?
like they're the most well, and any, like, icky energy is like these men. Like, any aggressive, like somebody being pushed. Right. It's a man energy. Like the first owner who was kind of a dumbass. But this whole time you can see energy flying, spirit flying around. I'm not sure if people realize the amount of energy it takes for spirit to do such tricks, but I'm telling you, it takes a lot of energy. Like for them just to even show their light as like an orb energy like that, that takes a lot of energy. And then to like flicker, and they keep saying like, can you do it again? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then when it doesn't happen right away, it takes a lot of energy for them to be able to do those things. So that's kind of cool that they got so many flickers of the light. Anyway, they then head to a bedroom. That thing just keeps doing weird shit. They then head into a bedroom where the woman named Mary died giving birth. And again, the flashlight began communicating with her and continued to get validation with the flashlight being turned on and off. They had different flashlights stationed at different places in the room. And during this, I think this is when they actually do investigations with the tour guides and they do the flashlights too. And
oh, wow.
yeah, they had the flashlights stationed at different places in the room and asked for the spirit to turn those specific lights on and off. Instead, she opened the dressing closet door.
Ooh.
And it shows it. So then they got distracted by a noise downstairs and the flashlights started to go on and off. Like she wanted to keep them in the room. Mm-hmm. So like the door opened, they get totally fascinated by that.
Right.
And then there's some racket going downstairs. So obviously another spirit wants their attention. So they start to go down there and then the flashlights start going off because she's like, hey, stay here. Yeah. It was pretty crazy. It's an active house.
Like, I'm lonely.
I want to talk to you. And maybe she was saving them from a not so nice spirit.
Oh, could be.
Yeah.
You never know.
Then they got distracted by annoying blah, blah, blah. Okay. Paranormal research, ghost investigations had recorders throughout the house. And in every one of them, you can hear the loud, creepy laughter of what sounds like a man throughout the house.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
So they just like put just regular recorders.
Which one was this?
That's those paranormal research ghost investigations. And they're like, we don't know which recorder this was coming from because in some it was louder than others, but it really wasn't coming from like one room. It's crazy sounding.
Okay.
And it's creepy. Anyway, the tour site offers investigations and they interview people afterwards who comment on hearing footsteps, seeing a head peek around the corner, the floor shaking. They should come to my house. The feeling of something.
Okay, if I was at your house and I saw a head peek around the corner, I'd be like, Carlene.
Wait, did I tell you about the time? I'll finish telling you this and then I'll tell you. Okay, the floor shake. The feeling of someone around them, hair standing up, as well as capturing their own EVPs. They see the piano play, smell cigar smoke.
I thought you said piñata.
Piñata play?
Why is there a piñata there?
Piano. And they see apparitions. Pretty freaky house.
Like full body apparitions?
Yes. Some actually said, I think someone actually claimed to see just the body and no head too.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Connor's friend, JR, stayed at our house one night. I'll take these off. And they were like 16 at the time. And so I had him sleeping in my front room. I had a hide-a-bed. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in my room. Connor, obviously, is in Connor, Aiden, Allie, whatever. Everybody's in their own rooms. And JR is all tucked in. Everybody's going to sleep. It's middle of the night. And you hear JR you go, Connor, is that you?
I think
Connor, I told you this one. And then all of a sudden, I have these boys running to my room and jumping in my bed. And I'm like, what is happening? And he's like, well, you see, I thought I saw Connor walk into the kitchen. And so I was like, Connor, is that you? And he didn't get a response. So he was like, well, damn, if he's getting food, I want food. So he goes into the kitchen to find Connor and nobody's there. And he's like, I saw a human walk by me, go to the kitchen and walk into your kitchen. And I think he said they either walked in the pantry or into my laundry room, which that makes sense to me if they walk in the laundry room because that's what they would do. And so he says, but then when he realized it wasn't Connor and there was nobody there,
he freaked the fuck out.
He freaks out, goes and like gets Connor. Then they both end up in my room and I end up with two 16-year-old boys curled up, sleeping in my bed. I have one at my foot, one next to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, totally freaked out.
Oh my gosh.
It's very hard for me to get somebody to come cat sit and stay the night at my house.
Yeah, I don't know that I would stay the night without you being there.
That's hilarious.
That time that I just picked up the camera, I was all...
I mean...
Just slinked in, grabbed the camera, walked out with my back against the door. It was fun.
It's spooky.
You know why?
All right.
Because your TV was playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was totally freaked out. Well, partly I was like, oh shit, I didn't know somebody was here. And then I was like, it occurred to me that nobody was there and the TV was on by itself. And I was like, okay.
Getting the fuck out of here.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. It is. And then one of their friends had commented about your mom was peeking through the blinds. And they're like, my mom's not even home. Nobody's in there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, somebody was looking at us through the blinds, through that window.
Interesting.
And nobody was in there. Yep.
One of these days.
We need to do a ghost hunt at Carlene's.
At Carlene's. Yes. We've been talking about it. I mean, it's the simplest, easiest. It really is. Come on. Location to do it.
It would be fun.
All right. Well, is that all you got?
That's it.
That's your story?
Yeah.
That was cool.
I thought I liked it.
It was.
I liked it.
It was pretty haunted.
It really is. It's freaky haunted. I think this is like one of my most active. Not like most haunted, but most active.
Right.
Like they really were getting... I wish they didn't use all the fancy equipment. That's where I wish like the YouTubers like Omar or somebody...
Yeah, they would get the raw stuff. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. That's a lot of ghosts for one place.
Yeah.
It seems like the South has a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, they do.
Got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, they do. I think it's just from all of the war stuff and we do too, really, because we have all that, the Indian territories, and we do.
Everything's so spread out around here compared to
it's not like you go, New Orleans is hardcore.
Yeah.
And the South, yeah, you're right. There's like a lot.
Well, I think that's it for tonight.
That's how I'm going to start laughing. When you say so, I'm not even going to...
Don't come back and haunt me and laugh like that, because...
I'm not even going to... From now on, this is how I'm going to...
She's not even moving her mouth.
Yeah, I'm not going to move my mouth. I'm just going to go... That was funny.
That's weird. It looks weird. Stop. Stop. That's the laugh I'm going to hear in the afterlife. Not that one. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I so badly want Albert to come out so he'll say something and I can go.
Yeah, we're not going to have any lick. He's so tired. I'll work it all weekend.
I can't believe he was out there working when I came here. He's so crazy.
On Sunday.
All right, kids.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight.
Thank you for letting us entertain you.
If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor and hit subscribe.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to us on
hit subscribe.
Apple, hit subscribe
and like and follow and the bell or whatever else there is to hit. I mean, there's like all these things. But also, Facebook. Share.
Instagram.
Share us.
Twitter.
Tweet us.
Obviously, we are so tired. It's Sunday night. Like,
what's another one?
Between you having your reading and me having my grandson all weekend.
Oh, podcast. iTunes or whatever. Don't they need to do a little?
If you're on iTunes, please do us a favor and leave us a review. Hit like. Give us 5 stars.
Hey,
and if
think about purchasing some merchandise so we can go and explore some things over at our
Teespring.
Anyway, also, if you're feeling a little love in your heart and you want to give a little...
We are so full of life tonight.
I know, we're like, love you,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm throwing it out there. If you're feeling a little charitable and you want to give a whole $2 a month.
Yes, we are on Patreon. And we're going to try and be better about getting more stuff on Patreon so that you guys can have the exclusive stuff.
We haven't had a reason to.
I know.
Give us a reason to.
Give us a reason.
Okay, we will put something on there.
Give us a reason to live.
We'll put a little teaser on there. Give us a reason. Give me a reason to live.
Oh, wow. All right, guys. I'm Alma.
I'm Carlene.
Have a good night.
Nighty night.